So my husband passed away unexpectedly last year. So it's March 4th was a 1-year anniversary for us.
Kouri Richins, the Utah mom and children's book author, accused of murdering her husband for life insurance money. Prosecutors are laying out part of their case in new court documents. I have the bombshell details with a representative from Eric Richins' family. Thanks for joining me for Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Kouri Richins will be back in court this week for a 2-day preliminary hearing. At that hearing, the judge will hear testimony to determine whether there's enough evidence to bound Kouri Richins over for trial. Prosecutors just have to show there's probable cause that Richins committed the crimes. That's a very low bar. They're outlining some of their case in a 32-page filing. Prosecutors say Kouri Richins killed Eric Richins on March 3rd or 4th of 2022 by poisoning him with fentanyl. But a month earlier, on Valentine's Day, she had tried to do the same thing, according to prosecutors, but failed. Prosecutors say Richins bought fentanyl from a person identified as Witness 4 that month. But let's go back to the very beginning of this story. Kouri and Eric Richins were married in 2013, and they had a prenuptial agreement. Kouri sold real estate in South Carolina, but then opened her own real estate venture, Kouri Richins Real Estate, in 2019. Richins flipped houses and funded this venture using a $250,000 home equity line of credit from a home that Eric Richins owned prior to marrying Kouri. This is what prosecutors are saying in these documents. Prosecutors say it appeared on the outside that Kouri Richins' real estate business was doing well, but really? They say a forensic accountant will testify that she was borrowing money at high interest rates to fund this venture. At one point in 2021, prosecutors say Richins defaulted on a loan and was sued by Greengrass Holdings 3 months before Eric Richins died. And according to prosecutors, Eric Richins didn't know that Kouri took out that $250,000 home equity line of credit at the time until someone at his bank told him much later. Prosecutors cite an October 2020 text message exchange between Richins and a friend where Richins wrote, "I don't know what to do. If he thinks that I owe him money, then that's fine. I'll pay whatever he thinks and then I'm out. It's getting a little out of hand." The friend asked, "How much did you take out?" Richins responded, "A lot." The friend then asked, "How long do you think it would take to pay it back?" Richins responded, $250,000. It will take me a couple of months until my investments pay out, so I just gotta be top-notch careful. But there's nothing more important to me than the boys and making sure custody is always going to be at least 50-50. And if he digs and digs and finds something, I don't want him hiring some expensive attorney to fight for the kids or something. Now, prosecutors say there's a really big problem with that text message. They say a forensic accountant will testify that at the time, Kouri Richins didn't have any investments that she could sell or cash in to pay back that loan. And it was over advanced to $254,000. Remember, it was originally $250,000. On the day Eric Richins died, prosecutors say that Kouri Richins owed $3.1 million. She had purchased more properties and borrowed more money, but she wasn't making any money. At the time Eric Richins died in March of 2022, prosecutors say his estate was worth $5 million and his life was insured for more than $2 million. On top of this financial mess, which sounds like an absolute nightmare, prosecutors say Kouri Richins was having an affair. Prosecutors quote Witness 8, identified as saying Kouri Richins feared leaving Eric Richins would be difficult and his family would use their considerable wealth to fight her for custody of the kids. Witness 8 said in December of 2021, Richins said that it would be better if Eric was dead. The following day, prosecutors say Richins texted her paramour, "I'm in love with a man that's not my husband. I want to, but I can't break up my family. It's having our cake and eating it too. I do just want to love you." Then in January of 2022, prosecutors say someone accessed a $2 million life insurance policy for the business partner of Eric Richins. This was done online, changing the beneficiary to Kouri Richins and then back to Eric Richins. Prosecutors believe Kouri didn't realize the policy was actually for the business partner, so she put her name in there and then swapped it back. That same month, prosecutors say Kouri consulted a divorce lawyer, but ended those talks telling her brother she didn't want half of everything, but wanted to walk away, quote, clean and free. Then prosecutors say that Kouri Richins started researching illicit drugs and asking people how to get fentanyl. In late January, prosecutors say Kouri Richins took out a $100,000 insurance policy on Eric Richins, forging his signature and having those documents sent to her P.O. box. Then on Valentine's Day, prosecutors say Kouri Richins poisoned takeout food that she bought for Eric Richins with fentanyl pills that a friend had purchased from someone else identified as Witness 5. Eric Richins texted a person identified as Witness 1, according to prosecutors. This person was a close friend, and it was 1:59 p.m. Quote, "You almost lost me." Richins told the friend that Kouri Richins had given him a sandwich with a note, that he had eaten part of it and then broken out in hives, and he tried to treat himself at home with one of his kids' EpiPens and Benadryl. Then 12 minutes later, after that 1:59 p.m. text, at 2:11 p.m., Richins called another friend identified as Witness 2 and said, quote, "I think I almost died. I think my wife tried to poison me." Richins had become ill and blacked out. The judge in the case voiced interest in those comments at a hearing this week. Take a listen.
I am most acutely interested in defense's position regarding Witness 1 and Witness 2, especially 1:59 p.m. for Witness 1 and 2:11 p.m. for Witness 2.
I'll make sure to address that.
Okay.
Prosecutors say Eric Richins tried to text Kouri that afternoon, but she didn't answer. And then she continued to plan for a life without Eric Richins. The next day, Kouri Richins texted the paramour, according to prosecutors, this is all in their document, quote, "If I were divorced right now and asked you to marry me tomorrow, you would? And I just want to lay on the couch and cuddle you, watch a murder documentary, and snuggle." The following month, prosecutors say Kouri Richins carried out her ultimate goal of poisoning and killing Eric Richins. Prosecutors say Kouri's cell phone showed her movements did not match the story that she told detectives about that night. Richins later wrote a children's book for her children about grief.
It's just comforting to them to know that, they're not living this life alone. Like, Dad is still here. It's just in a different way.
If you are anything like me, you are always cleaning up a mess, especially with pets and kids running around the house. So having cleaning products, especially sleek spray bottles like this one, is an absolute must. This is Blue Land, and you know what's great about it? It is a refillable cleaning product. Each week, we are eating and drinking roughly a credit card's worth of plastic. Yes, you heard me right, and that's just really, really gross. Blue Land got rid of the need for the bottles you use once and toss into the recycling or, heaven forbid, the trash. It's really simple. Blue Land offers refillable cleaning products with a great design that looks really good on your countertop. Fill your Blue Land bottle with water, drop in the tablet, and then wait for it to dissolve. I use it in my bathroom, I use it in my shower, and in my laundry room. And one thing I love, less plastic, and the products do not have that icky chemical smell. Blue Land has hand soap, laundry tablets, toilet bowl cleaner, and much more. And they have ingredients that you can feel really good about using. So right now, we have a special offer for you. You can get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/crimefix. Greg Skordas is the spokesperson for Eric Richins' family. Greg, how is the family doing leading up to this hearing?
I think they're really happy right now because the case has been pending, as you know, for a year. We are finally getting to the preliminary hearing, which will be tomorrow. And the state has issued what they call a pretrial brief or a pre-hearing brief to kind of outline what their case is. It's a long document, but it really spells out the evidence that they intend to put forward, the witnesses that they intend to call. And I think it gives us all, from the Eric Richins side, some consolation that the state has a very good case, some feeling that the state has put together a very strong case. And of course, we're just at the preliminary hearing stage, so the state doesn't have to show all of their cards and all of their witnesses, but what they've shown us so far is very compelling.
And I was going to ask your feelings about the brief because it is very detailed. There's a lot of information in there, a lot of text messages back and forth, witness statements. One thing the judge seemed particularly interested in, and it could be considered hearsay at trial, but it would be admissible at the preliminary hearing, are these phone calls that Eric Richins made and the text messages from February 14th of 2022, in which one was at 1:59. He tells a friend, like, you almost lost me. I think my wife tried to poison me. And then 13 minutes later, he calls somebody and explains this incident with the sandwich and things like that. And then there are all these text messages they outline with Kouri Richins and her alleged lover, where she's talking about wanting to be with this person, the issues with the real estate company and being in such, extreme debt. There's a lot in there, Greg, that really paints a picture of a woman who was desperate.
Right. And the irony, of course, is that this is Valentine's Day and she's
Right.
literally poisoning her husband and being with her paramour at the same time. I mean, talk about the irony of this. And the state really, they did it. They had a forensic accountant go through just exactly what you said, all of the financial issues that she was having. I mean, she was upside down $1 million or more and had other debtors coming after her. I mean, she had so many reasons to have Eric killed, and they were almost all financial. Of course, we learned recently, like you said, about the boyfriend. That was a twist we had heard about, we thought we knew about, but maybe now hearing it straight from the horse's mouth is going to make this state's case even stronger as it relates to her motive, both financial and with respect to her lover.
How big of an issue in the relationship? I mean, of course, there was this prenuptial agreement that is discussed in the documents. So they had the prenup. They were married in 2013. Then she starts the real estate business. She wants to buy up more properties. I mean, from the outside looking in, it looks successful, but the forensic accountant is going to testify that it wasn't successful. She's taking out these awful high interest loans. I mean, she can't keep up with the payments. Then she wants to buy this monster property in Midway and try to flip it. And that didn't work out for her. So how big of a stressor was this whole issue of the big property in Midway as far as the family knows on the relationship?
It was huge because Eric never wanted that property. It was a monstrosity, and it was obviously a very beautiful home. They call it the mansion. It was worth several $1 million, but it was in an area that wouldn't support that kind of value. It was really out of its place. And he thought that there was no way they were going to just flip it and make $1 million. It wasn't going to happen because that particular part of the state doesn't justify a $2.5 or $3 million home. So yeah, that was a big problem. But again, she's trying to get her real estate career going. She's trying to make some money flipping houses. She was obviously horrible at it, and he was trying to be a supportive husband, notwithstanding that she's just bleeding their accounts dry.
You said that the family suspected that there was a boyfriend, but didn't know about this. And the text messages appear to make it pretty clear. I mean, we're at the preliminary hearing stage. This is a very low bar that the state has to meet to get over that hurdle to be bound over for trial, probable cause. But you're saying they suspected it, but didn't know. Now you found out there was indeed a boyfriend. There was somebody else in the picture, and this person thought a divorce was on the horizon, according to the text messages.
Yeah, I mean, she made clear to the boyfriend that she needed to get out of the marriage, and there were a lot of texts between the two of them about, well, I want to make sure I can preserve my relationship with my children. I don't want to lose custody, and really a lot of conversations, not just with the boyfriend but with her own family, that Eric was worth a lot more dead than divorced. And you stated a reason earlier, Angenette, which is that there was a prenuptial agreement. And that prenuptial agreement provided that he had certain assets that he would get if they got divorced. But if he died, those assets would turn over to her. So, yeah, he was worth much, much more to her dead than divorced.
Also, there was this talk about her taking out an extra life insurance policy for $100,000 in the time leading up to his death. So, I mean, that I would assume goes to a premeditation aspect of this. She, of course, says that she didn't do this. She's pleaded not guilty. There's been some talk that maybe, the suggestion is that Eric had used drugs or accidentally overdosed.
Yeah, I mean, she's pled not guilty, and obviously she's presumed innocent, but Eric was not a drug user. He was a very healthy man. He was an outdoorsman. He supported his children in their athletic endeavors as a coach. He liked the outdoors here in that part of the state, hunting and fishing. He would not have abused his body in any way, and there's no evidence that he did. I mean, there was some conversation that he had tried some gummies or something, but in terms of opioids, fentanyl, there's just no evidence to support that he ever used drugs like that.
How are the kids doing, the three boys?
They're with family members. They're doing very well. They're in a very loving environment. They're still in the general area where they had been raised with Eric. By all accounts, they're going to be doing just fine, and they're going to be taken care of by a loving and a very extended family in that part of the state.
Greg Skordas will be watching the hearing closely. Thank you so much for coming on. We hope to have you back.
You bet.
And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with us. I'll see you back here next time.